Travis Wayne Goodsoul. The Book of Mormon tells us in 2 separate locations that Mormons in the future will be judged by the Book of Mormon. And so I would hope that Mormons therefore understand the importance of studying the Book of Mormon and getting the information correct. Because if they have faith in the wrong interpretation, they will be judged harshly by the Book of Mormon itself. So, those of you who have been following my channel know that the Book of Mormon is not literal history. It's prophecy of our day. We're the day. We're the Mormons to be judged, according as the Book of Mormon has prophesied. And Mormons are left wanting and are in severe trouble for failing to adhere to the Book of Mormon, as the condemnation in the Doctrine and Covenants still stands to this day because of this. So 2 Nephi 29:11, that the words which are written, they will judge the world, every man according to their works, according to that which is written. And then 3 Nephi 27:25. For out of the books which have been written and which shall be written shall this people be judged. For by them shall all their works be known unto men. So yeah, last night, the harsh judgment condemning Mormons, the church specifically, was exposed all over the world. Or at least it was earlier, several days earlier. I found out about it last night. The church are committing financial crimes. Not just here in America, but in Canada and Australia. And that's a violation of the Book of Mormon, as well as the laws of the land. So, Mormons are required, therefore, to know the great and abominable church, so that they can flee from it and come out of Babylon, as it's codenamed. Because Babylon no longer exists, therefore when it's used as a code word. And yet you'll still hear people talk about Babylon as if it still exists today. Oh, it's Iraq, yeah. No. It's like calling Catholics the Constantine's church. Catholics are a branch off, just as all of Christianity are branch offs from Constantine's Holy Roman Empire. And so, in chapter 13 of 1 Nephi, we are introduced to the formation of the great and abominable church in the Book of Mormon, which is a prophecy for our current day, by which we shall be judged. And it says that they slay the Mormons, saints. So has this church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, slain Mormons? Yes, they have. They've attempted to assassinate me. That's why I'm here. They've multiple times tried to assassinate me. And why? Because I learned the language of the Jews, the ancient language, Paleo-Hebrew. And I've done those videos for you. And Mormons are instead incited to want to help the church murder me, silence me, abuse me, torture me, condemn me, commit hate crimes of all kinds. And so again, who's the author of all that? Jesus? What? Created by Constantine? No. Jesus is used as code in the Book of Mormon. In case you didn't realize, if it's prophecy, Jesus is therefore code. Just like in Revelation. It's prophecy for our specific day, and Jesus is in there, which means Jesus is code. Not a real person. It's not Jesus coming back for a second time, because he never existed the first time. He was created as literal history by Constantine, turning the Jewish prophetic writings into literal history gospels. And so the great and abominable church is thus named because who does Joseph Smith say is abominable? An abomination in the personage's sight in the first vision. Christianity. The first creed of Christianity, which came from Constantine. That's why abomination for Christian creed of Constantine, great and abominable church. So now we know the name of the great and abominable church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which will be holding Mormons hostage. Because it says that this church will also tortureth them and bindeth them down and yoketh them to Jesus with the yoke of iron. If you didn't watch conference, you're not going to understand. Or if you didn't even watch my videos, you should have. They were quite popular, despite YouTube's attempts to silence me for conference. They should have been far more popular than they were, but YouTube made sure to silence and shut down my video channel before conference, purposely to attack me. But yeah, Nelson comes out and says, yoke yourself to Jesus. Totally bypass the scripture that says don't be unequally yoked. And so yeah, he also talked about binding yourself as well. And so if you're unfamiliar with the murders by this church of Mormons, then you're unfamiliar of this sign in the temple and at conference when you give loyalty oaths to the leaders. This right here, that's the knife. Before 1991 in the temple, Mormons had to do this to show that they were not going to violate the temple covenants. I am a first-hand witness. I went on May 6th, 1989, 1873. No, but yeah. And so this church is involved in murder. If you hadn't noticed the last couple of years, they've been finding mass graves by Mormons here in Utah. The church made sure to quickly silence all of this, so that it's no more exposed. And the devil is the founder of it. What is the sign of the devil? Isaiah gives it to us. It's the falling star. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? It is, Lucifer was added in the Latin Vulgate text, but it's used in the Book of Mormon, not literal history, to help illustrate how to identify the great and abominable church by its sign on the keystone of their temple. So, if it is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we should expect to see the inverted pentagram on the keystone of the Salt Lake Temple. Wow, Book of Mormon is so true. Right, Mormons? See, at this point, Mormons are furious with me. They are in rage and have put a thumbs down and left because they don't want to hear any more of this blasphemy of the Book of Mormon. This is not my doctrine, guys. This is right from 1 Nephi chapter 13. This is how you know the Book of Mormon is true, because you're studying it. You're not only reading it just so that you get a spiritual feeling of happiness and peace, and then claim whatever you want, turning apostates into devil worshippers and murdering Mormons and all that crap. But he continues, because there's more. And I also saw gold and silver and silks and scarlets and fine twined linen and all manner of precious clothing. They're filthy rich. And that's what has been exposed in America and in Australia and in Canada. The church, rather than being a charitable religion, are a corporation hoarding money. The religion is a front for their criminal operations. I told you way back in the beginning of my critical videos that anybody who obtains billionaire status as a business got so by being criminal. I was underestimating the church at the time. The church is worth trillions. And I'm the first one to point that out to you because I did the research and checked. With the whistleblower talking about tithing having 100 billion in their Ensign Peak advisors, the way the process worked is that was 10% of the total of tithing given to the church. Forced giving, not donation giving. And so if it's 10%, if 100 billion is 10%, the original amount is 1 trillion. That's 1/10. 100 billion is 1/10 of 1 trillion. So the church, therefore, has 900 billion in another account, which is the main fund for all tithing revenue. And it's only several billion to fund and maintain the temples, the churches, because that's all they use it for. They've told us in the tithing settlement, which they just changed this year to a different name. I can't remember what it was now, but I did the video on it. The bishop is required to tell us what the tithing is used for. And it's not for the poor. It's not for charity. And so if it's not being used for charity, which again, charity at most is a couple billion also, what are they doing with the excess? Yeah. Well, Australia revealed it to us. The church has offshore bank accounts. Not just LLC corporations for the reserve, the tithing of the tithing, and other money assets. Because the church follows the same exact pattern with everything. And with Australia, the church was creating an offshore bank account as a shell corporation that had nobody running it. It was just a laundering thing. And then Canada, dear God, they were taking the money and laundering it through Brigham Young University. Dear God. You Because BYU, as a source of revenue for the church, likewise takes their money and gives it to an LLC corporation, and then has the main body of money, which the surplus is then funneled into an offshore account. It's the same exact pattern for everything they do. And yeah, it's a nightmare scenario. The church really is a crime organization. And there's been great concern of the lavish temples, which for their total asset value is petty cash, but it helps improve the value of the land that they own, which is why they make them so expensive and lavish. But to build them in third world countries where Mormons are still required to pay tithing in order to go to them, when they themselves continue to live the rest of their lives in poverty, as the church neglects the poor. That not just covered here in the Book of Mormon, but throughout the Book of Mormon, with the various rebel factions of the Nephites, such as the Zoramites and King Noah and others. I wonder if he's purposely antagonizing my video. But there's more. And I saw many harlots. These are women who are sex trafficked. With tithing in the church, marriage now becomes sex trafficking. And so with Canada, the picture for the thumbnail was the Cardston, Alberta temple. That's where I was sex trafficked by the church. Because I had gotten civilly married to Stephanie, as I told you in the video I did about it, and didn't have to pay anything to my Uncle Bert, who was our bishop that married us. And yet the church did not accept our marriage from our bishop, because you have to be sealed in the temple. And in order to be sealed in the temple, you have to pay. And tithing is an atonement to the church for Jesus's atonement of us, for us. And yet Jesus doesn't exist. Just see the con that's going on here. And so Brigham Young secretly practiced polygamy under Brigham's Joseph Smith's nose, as they were all keeping it the sacred secret. Oh, Joseph Smith knows and approves. He's even got wives. No, they lied so that they can practice it in the underground. And then with the murder of Joseph Smith by them, they then were able to then sex traffic the women out of the country to Mexico territory. And then in rebellion of the United States, Brigham Young openly declared the practice in 1851, and forcing all Mormons to be involved in sex trafficking from that point on, until the United States shut them down and believed that they had stopped the practice, yet sex trafficking still continued as tithing still continued. And so Nelson is now changing to turn back to Brigham Young's polygamy and going to the youth, the girls, to groom them to be ready for polygamy. That should horrify everybody, but we were warned in the Book of Mormon. So yeah. And so they get praised from the world. They get awards and medals and honorary titles and all sorts of praise from the world. And they're doing business with the world. They're doing business with Islam. They're doing business with our enemies to America. All because our enemies in Islam support what the church is doing. And that's why they're doing it. And so, this is what you were warned about. This is what you will be judged about if you fail to leave and get out of Babylon for the latter days. So